So you got knocked down. Your offense isn't clicking, and you haven't won an SEC series in nearly a month. You're not doing the little things necessary to win. So what are you going to do about it? Will you bend to the pressure? Or will you do what so many OU softball teams have done in the past, which is get knocked down, learn from your mistakes, rise up, and into the best version of yourself? Well, we're about to see what this team chooses as the Sooners host Mississippi State in a very critical SEC weekend series. And that's where I'll begin with the 5 biggest storylines of the weekend. Get off the mats. Let's see what you're made of. I've seen this team battle back late in games. I've seen them overcome adversity. I've seen it. You've seen it. I know that they have that in them. So show us again. Show us that you're ready to come back better and stronger than ever. But I don't want to just see the energy. I want to feel the energy. I want to feel the energy from this team, even through the TV. Because that's when OU is at its best. When you don't even have to be in the stadium to know that they brought the juice. This team needs its edge back. And I'm hoping that we see it on Friday night, sure, but also the entire weekend. Make it consistent. Bring the energy. Storyline number 2 is the offense. Unfortunately, all of it. OU has only scored 16 runs in its last 6 SEC games. That's a troubling number. The Sooners scored just 7 runs combined against Alabama and just 9 against Tennessee. Not a mystery as to why the Sooners are just 2-4 in their last 6 SEC games. Simply put, they've got to hit better. But it doesn't take a genius to point that out, and trust me, I'm far from a genius. But where does this offense need to improve the most? Well, obviously, it can stand to improve in just about every single area, but I'm going to focus on situational hitting. Far too many times against Alabama, OU had runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs and didn't do anything with it. The most frustrating example of that was the top of the 7th inning in Game 3 when the Sooners had bases loaded and just 1 out. They came away with nothing. You've got to score when you get those chances, especially in SEC play. It feels at times that maybe OU is a little too dependent on the home run ball, and hey, I like home runs. I think everybody does, but I also like fundamental softball, and so does Patty Gasso. So this weekend, I would love to see the offense we saw against Oklahoma State. Sure, yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic. But I'll settle for an offense that's good with runners in scoring position and one that isn't leaving a lot of runners on base. Storyline number 3, the pursuit for a number 2 pitcher continues. Look, Sam Landry can't throw a gem in every single game. Though I'm starting to be convinced that if you asked her to, she probably could. But you got to find a number 2 pitcher. So who's going to step up and deliver a gem of a performance in the circle this weekend? The search for the number 2 starter continues, and unfortunately, Kirsten Deal didn't have a great start on Sunday. Isabella Smith also struggled in her relief performance on Sunday, and Audrey Lowry looked like the best one of the 3, but hasn't started a game in over a month. So who's going to step up on Saturday? Well, I'm hoping this is the weekend Audrey Lowry gets a start in SEC play. She's only been back for a couple of weeks, so maybe Patty Gasso and Jen Rocha are still trying to ease her back into things. But this team needs her. I really believe at this point she's OU's second best pitcher right at this moment. And I want to see her prove that with a great start on Saturday. Her ceiling is incredibly high, and she's been very good in her 2 relief appearances since the injury. But let's ramp it up this weekend by seeing the true freshman be put in a big spot. Lowry is currently second on the team with a 1.98 ERA and has a 5-0 record on the season. She's going to start in a lot of big games throughout her OU career. So let's do it this weekend. Let's get started back up again with a great performance against Mississippi State. Storyline number 4, who's the starting catcher? Patty shook up the lineup a bit on Monday, starting Sid Barker at first base, but also giving Corey Hicks the starter at catcher over Isabella Smith. Now, it's important to note that Isabella Emmerling did play on Monday at catcher and even made a great defensive play as soon as she got in the game. So what now? Corey Hicks wasn't bad on Monday, but she also didn't have just some incredible game. Do you go back to the experience, or do you ride with the true freshman? I actually think you see a mix of both this weekend. I think Emmerling will get the start on Friday, but I won't be shocked at all if you see Hicks throughout the weekend and maybe even get a start at some point. It would be nice to shore up that position one way or the other, But I think it's very fair to say they need more consistent production at catcher. My hope is that not getting the start on Monday is a turning point in a good way for Isabella Emmerling. She made the great defensive play immediately, and maybe kind of sitting on the bench lit a fire under her a little bit. Regardless, when we see the lineup on Friday night, perhaps the most interesting thing of all is going to be who's starting at catcher. Storyline number 5 is me just full of thanks. Thank goodness for Sam Landry. I mean, seriously, thank the good Lord that Sam Landry is wearing an OU uniform this year. Because it's not a fun thought to think where this team would be without her this season. And for that reason, and many others as well, she's been the MVP of the team. It's not just the fact that she's giving OU a great chance to win every single time she walks out to the circle. She's doing it twice in a 3-game series. Think about that. We've talked for years about OU's offense and how they adjust throughout the game and how that makes it difficult on opposing pitchers the more that pitcher sees the lineup. Landry is facing the same hitters multiple times throughout a weekend, and she's still dominating. It's truly incredible what she's doing. You should not take this for granted, and this team needs it to keep happening. Nobody would question right now that she's the ace of the staff. But moving forward, whether it's an SEC series, an SEC tournament, regional, super regional, or even the Women's College World Series, for OU to be successful this year, Landry is going to have to pitch multiple games and pitch well in both. That goes for this weekend as well. In a 3-game series, I think at this point we expect Sam Landry to start Game 1 and also Game 3. OU might need to win both of those games to win the series. So it's been a huge bonus to have Sam Landry be this special. But now you're kind of counting on her to be elite, start in and start out. Let's hope that continues this week. And as a bit of a hint, I think that it will. All right, 3 things on Mississippi State. They're the opponent this weekend. 33-11 on the season, 9-6 in SEC play, and coached by former Sooner Samantha Ricketts. State is actually tied for 4th in the SEC standings right now with Florida, Tennessee, and Arkansas. So some pretty good company there. Swept Auburn, beat Missouri and Alabama in a series. Lost 2 of 3 to Tennessee and Texas. So what's Mississippi State's biggest strength? I'd say the offense, but more specifically, I'd say their power at the plate. Mississippi State is 5th in slugging percentage in the SEC at .569. And they've also hit the 3rd most home runs in the conference with 61. It's also a team that's hit a lot of doubles, 70 of those, which ranks 4th. Mississippi State has 7 players hitting over .310 and features one of the best hitters in the SEC, which we'll get to in just a minute. You can't make mistakes against this lineup. They're very good, and OU's pitchers will have their work cut out for them this weekend. What's Mississippi State's biggest weakness? Well, going to sound very similar to last week, but they haven't been a great staff in the circle. 3.12 team ERA, which ranks 12th in the SEC, and like I just said, something very similar to what I said with Alabama last week. So you have to factor in that you're going to see Mississippi State's best effort this weekend. Raylan Chafin is their ace. She's their best, 18-6 on the year with a 2.55 ERA, but also look out for Everett Delaney. She's also someone you're going to see this weekend, has a 9-0 record with a 2.13 ERA. The player to watch for Mississippi State, this one is actually very easy. Sierra Sacco, one of the best hitters in the SEC. .504 average, which leads the SEC by 41 points. Wow. .599 on-base percentage, which leads the SEC. 2nd in runs scored, 2nd in hits, 2nd in doubles. You get the point. She's really, really good. She can make you pay, and she can do a lot of damage. You've got to be successful against her this weekend. She's without a doubt the player to watch this weekend for Mississippi State because the numbers say she just might be the best hitter in all of the SEC. Through our partnership with One Oklahoma at the Ref, Paytn Monticelli joined us earlier this week. I want to play a few clips from that. I thought she was awesome. First, and this one's really cool, here's Paytn Monticelli on being a role model for so many young athletes and so many young softball players.
It's so cool realizing the legacy that we're leaving currently, and the kind of the inspiration that we're giving younger girls, showing girls that no matter where you come from, no matter who you play for, you can be at the top level, you can win national championships. It's really cool, honestly, being surrounded by girls as well who have come from various different backgrounds and who have come from places that some of us never have experienced before, but coming together as a team and learning about each other's backgrounds and each other's history really actually makes us closer as a team. And I think that's what inspires little girls the most, is that we all come from different places. Like, we have 2 girls from Hawaii. Like, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, how like we can come from all over the world and come together to play, like, honestly, the universal sport of softball. And coming from my British team, we always say softball is a universal language, which is something that I think is really cool. So even when the Japanese team was in this past fall, or even this past spring, it's really cool getting to kind of just get to know other people and get to know other cultures through our sport. And I think that's something that everybody, and little girls, little boys, like anybody, can take away from our game, is that our game brings people together, which is something that's really awesome.
I thought that was cool and important to include, because we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the season, and you know, your emotions swing one way or the other. So that's kind of a nice thing to hear, to kind of take a step back and really realize what this is all about. I thought this was cool as well. Here's what Paytn Monticelli wants to do with her life after softball.
Yeah, so I'm a broadcast journalism major and a communications minor, and this is exactly, honestly, what I want to do when I grow up, which is really neat. Just getting the opportunity to be surrounded by it every day. I've worked on Sooner Sports Pad in the School of Journalism, which is something I'm really interested in, just getting behind the camera as well, not just being on camera and talking about sports. But I think, honestly, like, this is like my dream job, like talking about softball, talking about sports. I feel like I could talk all day about sports and completely be okay with that. But yeah, I mean, I love what I'm doing right now. I've done a bunch of projects on some of the track and field athletes, which is really cool. And it's like, one of my videos recently blew up, which is kind of neat. It's a really cool opportunity to be surrounded by sports day in and day out, and get the opportunity to be out here and talking to you and getting your opinion on stuff too when it comes to journalism and this type of work.
Love to hear that from Paytn. Sounds like I need to try to get her on the show here after the season is over. Here's one more softball related. Paytn Monticelli currently on her game and developing some new pitches.
I am trusting the process. I am so excited about where I'm at right now. It has been a long journey for sure. Coming from my freshman year to my sophomore year, it was a hard transition for me. I honestly felt like my sophomore year was like another freshman year for me, because I had so much to learn.
And you were in a whole new school.
Right. Yes. And that part as well. It was hard, just kind of adjusting again to a new team, a new group of girls, honestly, new city. Like, everything was so new. So I felt like I didn't really embrace the newness last year, which I think was where I was kind of held back a little bit, internally specifically. But it's so cool to see where I am right now, because I have a change up. I am working on a drop ball. Like, it's so many things that I feel like they're finally falling into place, and trusting the process and knowing that there is already a plan written for me. And that's one that I cannot change, because it's God's plan, which I think is really, really cool. And just leaning into my faith and all that too has helped me a lot, especially with the trial and error of college softball. You know, it's like, you try one thing, it doesn't work, you try another thing, it may or may not work, you know. So I'm trusting the process. I'm really happy with where I'm at. I had a really great practice yesterday, so just kind of taking it day to day, pitch to pitch, one at a time, and knowing that outcomes don't define who I am as a person or as a player.
All right, prediction time. MVP of the week, series prediction. You guys know what to do. Drop your thoughts in the comments. MVP of the week. I mean, I think she's going to pitch twice. You may need her to win twice. I'm going with Sam Landry. I'm going with Sam Landry because she's been the team MVP. And at this point, you can just count on her. Consistency has been a big thing, I think, with Sam Landry. She's really been awesome throughout the season. There's been times where maybe she's given up 5 runs in a start, but overall, she's been great. MVP of the weekend, I can count on Sam Landry. In the first game she starts, I can count on Sam Landry. In the second game she starts, heck, if she comes in a relief appearance, I can count on Sam Landry. I feel like I can count on her more than any other player in the lineup right now. I feel pretty good about her getting at least 1, maybe 2 wins this weekend. Sam Landry is my MVP of the week. As for a prediction in the series, Friday night's game in Oklahoma City, Saturday and Sunday in Norman, I think it's going to be another tough, hard-fought series. Mississippi State's going to show up, ready to play. Just like everybody else in the SEC this year and on the schedule, they're going to be gunning for the back-to-back national champs, and I don't think that this is going to be an easy sweep. I'm very interested to see if this team gets up off the mats. And I think they will get up off the mat. I'm not predicting a sweep here, but I do think Oklahoma wins Game 1 behind a great performance by Sam Landry. I think Mississippi State comes up and wins Game 2 on Saturday. And then I think in a rubber match, which we're now getting used to in SEC play, OU behind another fantastic performance by Sam Landry, wins Game 3 and wins the series over Mississippi State. What do you think will happen this weekend? Do you have the Sooners in a series win? Do you not? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.